to start preparing the cheese. So I'm gonna move the computer a little bit here. We have our cutting board, right? We always use our cutting board in class. A knife, just like we use in class. The sharp side are very careful, right? We always hold it on the smooth handle. I have this, it's kind of funny looking. It's a cheese grater. Sometimes you see cheese graters and they more kind of stand up. This one is neat because it has the bowl already attached to the grater. So when you grate, it catches the cheese right in the bowl for you. So that's kind of a neat one, but your cheese graters might look a little different at home. You might need to have a bowl. So when you grate your cheese, the cheese falls into the bowl and not all over the table, right? So make sure you have a bowl for that grated cheese, shredded cheese. I have a few different types of cheese that I'll tell you about here soon. Different bowls to put my cheese after I prepare it. And then some snacks to enjoy with my cheese at the end of the lesson. Okay? So first, I'm going to put most of this to the side here. And we're going to talk about our cheese, the kind of cheese that you guys have brought to the lesson today. Vivian, join us here. Okay. I'm going to get my cutting board set up on my table. Put my tray to the side. Okay. So this morning I have 3 different types of cheese. How many, do you guys have more than one type of cheese in front of you, or do you just have one type of cheese? Can you show me with your fingers how many types of cheese you have in front of you? Evan has 2, Lex and Victoria, couple. Jack doesn't have any cheese. I bet you're gonna want some cheese after this lesson though. Sam has a couple kinds, great. And I have 3 different kinds. Eva has 2 there, perfect. So Alexa has 3, great. So you might notice on your cheese, the different kinds of cheese. And in class, we just usually have our one type of cheese, right? Kind of string cheese, a long shaped cheese, and we just kind of cut it really easily. Like Victoria has right there, perfect. That's the kind of cheese we have in class usually, right? But we all know that is not the only type of cheese, and not all cheese looks like that, and not all cheese feels like that. No. So I have, let's see, we have a few more people joining us here. There we go. I'm wondering how many people that have more than one type of cheese have a hard cheese? One that feels hard in your hands. Alana, do you have a question?
I got 3 different kinds.
You have 3 different kinds, perfect. Do you have a type of cheese that's hard when you feel it? Like a block of cheese, we sometimes call it?
I have a real cheese.
Oh, it looks like Jamie and Evan have a good block of cheese there. I have a good block of cheese here. I also have cheese that is very soft, right? I'll show you how it cuts through in a minute, but that's very soft cheese. Which one do you think would be easier to cut with a knife? My hard block of cheese or my soft cheese? Who has an idea? Eva, what do you think? Soft. Soft cheese is easier to cut. That's right.
Yes. Well,
That's
I like
like
hard cheese.
You have hard cheese.
Hard cheese, you know.
Perfect.
Cool.
So this cheese at our school, we think that's more of a soft cheese, right? Our knife just goes right through that cheese. We don't really have to go back and forth with it. We just go right through it. That's a soft cheese. Also, we notice with our different cheeses, they don't all look the same. So they probably don't all taste the same,
Need
right?
some knives.
And I'm gonna go through the kind of cheese that I have and what I like about it. And then if some of you wanna share the types of cheese you have, that would be great also.
I want
Let's
23
see here, make sure that we're all on mute so we can hear each other. And I'm gonna show you my delicious cheese. We have Beecher's smoked cheddar. And Beecher's is a local Seattle cheese company. Has anybody heard of Beecher's cheese? Alana, have you had it?
No, but our cheese don't the same. Our cheese don't taste the same, but they all taste yummy.
They all taste yummy. You like all cheeses.
And a cutting board.
You guys might have had or been to Beecher's cheese. If you've been to Pike's Place in Seattle, there's a big cheese store there. And there's big tubs, and you can see the big machines churning the cheese and making the cheese. Has anybody seen that at Pike's Place, the big cheese store there? You get to watch the cheese being made, and there's macaroni and cheese and grilled cheese sandwiches. If you get a chance to check it out, that's Beecher's cheese, and it's delicious, and it's super fun to visit. And the Beecher's cheese, I'm gonna take it out. I washed my hands, they're nice and clean. I hope you all have clean hands too, right? I can smell this cheese as soon as I took it out of that package. This is a very aromatic cheese. Cheddar cheese. Raise your hand if you have cheddar cheese in front of you. You have cheddar cheese? Evan, do you have some Beecher's cheese there? You do, I recognize the package there. How does your Beecher's cheese smell, Evan?
Go ahead.
Good.
Smells good? Does it smell strong?
Yeah.
Yeah? You don't have to put it right against your nose to smell it? Nope. Good. Who else has a cheese that has a strong smell? Does anybody else have a cheese with an aroma to it? What do you think, Hayden? Hayden, how does your cheese smell?
This one smells a little bit strong.
A little bit strong. Do you know what kind of cheese that is?
No.
No? Do you like the way it smells?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that? I like it too. It's a nice smoky cheddar, good for a grilled cheese sandwich. Or just eat by itself, really.
A question?
You have a question?
Oh. Yeah, I think it's called Kerrygold.
You have a question, Hayden?
It's Kerrygold.
It's Kerrygold.
Ooh, yum. I like Kerrygold. I really like their butter too. They use some good ingredients. Okay. I have another cheese here. Can you see it? It has stuff in it. It has herbs in it. It's a dill. Dill pickles. They're made with the dill herb. And I like a little herb in my cheese. Gives it a new flavor, right? It's not just cheese. There's something else with it. It's not as strong as my cheddar cheese, though. I have to put it right up to my nose to smell this one. So I would call it a mild cheese. And I can kind of squeeze it. It's not totally soft where I could just squeeze it in my hand, but it's not super hard either. You can kind of see it indents my fingers when I squeeze it. We have medium cheese. Does anybody else have cheese with something inside of it? Or is everybody's cheese just cheese? Leah, what do you have there?
Pepper jack.
Ooh, pepper jack. So you have a little spice in your cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I like the pepper jack on my sandwiches. Yum. And I also have here, I'm not gonna pick it up because it's kind of messy. Look at that beautiful cheese right there. Isn't that pretty? has blueberries in it. You see all the blueberries outside of it? And it's really, really soft cheese. I'll show you here. Oh, let's see, somebody's in our waiting room. Let's let somebody else in with us today. There we go, okay. Let me show you here. Right, it's so soft, just like that. And there's something else special about this cheese. My first two cheese samples came from cows. Cow cheese, cow milk cheese. My blueberry, beautiful blueberry cheese is from a goat. It's a goat milk cheese. It has a different flavor than cow milk cheese. Does anybody else have goat milk cheese to try today? No? Have you had goat milk cheese before? Evan has had it before. Do you like it? Yeah, I like it too, especially with the blueberries. It's really sweet. And I don't like goat's milk just to drink, not my favorite, but goat milk cheese, it's pretty delicious and it's creamier also. Okay, Eli, have you had goat milk cheese before? No? Yes? Okay. Well, when we get back into class, we'll have to try the different cheeses from different animals. And they also make cheese
goat cheese
from any
before, you love
animal,
it.
right? They can make cheese from almond milk or cashew milk, things like that. So we're going to get to preparing our cheeses. If you have a knife and a cutting board, that's great. If not, that's okay. You can watch and practice later. I also don't have a sink handy. Ideally in class, we would have our dishwash bucket ready to wash our dishes. It's just not handy at my house right now. So I have a wet cloth, and in between cheeses, I'm just going to carefully wipe my knife off here. And then of course I'll take it all to the sink and wash my dishes after. So I'm going to start with our soft cheese. And do you think the best way to prepare the soft cheese is with a knife or with a cheese grater? Raise your hand if you have an idea of which one we should use to prepare the soft cheese. Anybody think? Victoria thinks the grater? Put your thumb up if you think it's the knife we should use for a soft cheese. Put your thumb up if you think we should use the cheese grater for the soft cheese. Okay, I'm going to use the knife for the soft cheese. If we use the soft cheese in the cheese grater, it would just kind of get smushed all up in these little holes here, and it wouldn't really come out. So we definitely want to use our knife for the soft cheese. And then it's also kind of a spreadable cheese, the soft cheese. You want to eat it with a cracker or an apple slice, something you can put your cheese right on. Take a look. Cheese. Make sure that that sharp side is down against the cheese, right? With soft cheese, if you go really hard back and forth, you're going to break up the cheese everywhere. So you kind of just want a nice firm push right down. See that? Kind of push it right down there. And I think this cheese gets even prettier as we cut into it. For nice soft cheese pieces. I'm gonna get my bowl, put them in for later. And this blueberries, you can really see them kind of crumbling all over my board here. It's okay, they're delicious. I'm gonna get them all back up in here. So we have our soft cheese, which is really easy to cut. That knife just goes right through that cheese. You don't really have to do anything else. I'm gonna wipe off my knife for my next cheese here. Wipe off my cutting board. Next is my dill cheese, Havarti dill. Havarti is another kind of cheese. This was my medium cheese. It was kind of soft and kind of hard. This cheese would have more of the cutting that we would need, right? Back and forth as we hold the cheese still with our other hand, right? Back and forth. And it comes out nice and whole in one piece. It wasn't like my blueberry cheese that just crumbled everywhere and was kind of messy. This is a nice piece of cheese. And we can continue to cut it smaller like we do in class. When it's a smaller piece, you don't need to saw back and forth. You can more just push it down, right? We have a nice piece of Havarti to eat. It pairs well with a nice bite of apple. I'm gonna put our medium cheese in another bowl. And then I have my hard cheddar cheese. And if we use that knife for the soft cheese, we're gonna use our grater for the hard cheese. And it looks like lots of you have your grater out right now. You're grating away. I want to make sure, I see Evan is holding that grater nice and still with one of his hands. See that? We want to make sure, and I'm going to take the cup out of mine so it looks more like your grater. And then put my bowl. You need our bowl to catch the cheese, right? I want to hold it still with one hand. We have the block of cheese in our other. This is sharp, right? They're like little sharp edges. You need to be careful when you're holding the cheese that you don't accidentally grate your fingers. So it's something you want to focus on, pay attention to, because that will hurt, right? You don't want to grate your skin. That will hurt. So you want to watch what you're doing carefully. And we go one direction. Go down, okay? One direction. You can see that cheese falling right out. Down. I can smell it as it's grating. It's really releasing that cheddary aroma. You can see the marks it makes as it grates down the cheese grater. Nice and slow. Catch it in my bowl. Okay. You don't have to grate your whole cheese block if you don't want to, but maybe you're helping prep for dinner tonight or lunchtime. Why do you think we would grate cheese? Why? Does anybody have an idea? Why not just take a bite of the cheese how it is? Jack, why would we grate the cheese?
So we can eat more of it.
So you can eat more of it?
So you can eat it.
So you can eat it easier?
Uh-huh.
Because you don't want to just take a bite out of the big block of cheese? No.
That's hard.
That would be hard and kind of gross, right? Take a bite of the cheese and put it back in the refrigerator? Probably not a great idea. Why else would we grate the cheese other than it's easier to eat it? Victoria?
It's because if we like take a block of cheese and put it in like a sandwich and then we like try to eat it, it's like too big for us to eat.
That's
When
right.
we do it like this, it's really small and it's easier to eat it.
Easier
like
to
that.
eat it. You wouldn't want to put a whole block of cheese in your sandwich. That'd be, I don't even think it would all fit in your mouth, right? Yeah. What else, Evan? What else do you think we would grate the cheese?
Because we can make salad.
Make salad? So you don't want to just put a whole block of cheese in your salad, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You could kind of sprinkle the cheese around.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get more of the cheese and more of the food that way. Alexa, did you have an idea? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. I hear you.
And because cheese will melt if you don't cut it.
You know what? Actually, it's easier to melt the cheese, right? If it's in little shreds and we want to make something like a grilled cheese sandwich or what I had for dinner last night, a quesadilla, it's easier for the cheese to melt on the bread or the tortilla if it's in little shreds, right? It would take a long time to melt the block of cheese, but it's really quick to melt little shreds. And like what Evan was saying, you can get the cheese all around where you want it. But if you try to melt a block of cheese, you're just going to have a big blob in one spot, right? If you have the shredded cheese, you can get it all over your tortilla or your bread. Alana?
So like if you take a bite of cheese and somebody else takes a bite of it, they might spread germs.
That's right. So if we cut up our cheese and we shred it, then we can all have our own cheese and we don't have to worry about spreading the germs, right? That's a good point. Okay, so we have prepared our cheese now. And cheese is good just by itself, but I think it's really good when you eat it with other food. And maybe you've been to a party or your parents make it, but it's really fun to have it, what we call a cheese board. And it's kind of a tray with different cheeses and different things to eat your cheese with. So I'm going to show you here my cheese board. A nice tray for it here. Okay. So we have our different types of cheese, right? And on the board, we just put it right on there, just like that. We'll sprinkle it over here. Kind of want it to be pretty, fun to eat, right? We have our nice, beautiful blueberry cheese. Make sure we see that. And then I have some food that I like to eat with cheese. Crackers, of course. Cheese and crackers is a great combination. Cheese and apple slices, another one of my favorite. Kind of get the juicy, sweet tart from the apple with the creamy cheese. It's really good. And I like the apple with the smoky cheddar. I like to spread the soft cheese on my crackers. Then I also like dried fruit with my cheese. A nice dried mango. Go with my dill cheese. And you always want your food to look really pretty in your presentation. So I picked a flower from my garden, washed it off, and added it to my tray. So we have our beautiful cheese board we have prepared. There's a special day coming up this weekend on Sunday. Does anybody know what's happening on Sunday? Anybody know? What is it, Zachary? What's on Sunday, Zachary? Food fight? Is that what you said? What else, Evan?
There you go.
Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day on Sunday. You know that? But today would be a great day maybe to make a card. And what would your mom think on Sunday if you put a beautiful cheese tray together for her? I think she would be most impressed. Okay, While you guys enjoy your cheese snack, I'd like to read a story or two, if that's okay with you. We're going to talk about something real quick here called fiction and nonfiction. Who has heard of the words fiction and nonfiction? Nobody? Evan has? Do you know what they mean, Evan? Evan, do you know what fiction and nonfiction mean?
Shake your head no.
No? Okay.
No.
There are ways to classify books, and it's really easy. Fiction means a story is not true. It didn't happen. The characters are not real. Sometimes the places aren't real. So if you have a unicorn flying around in a blue glittery sky on its way home to Jupiter, we would say that story is fiction. It's a fun story, but it's not real. It didn't really happen. Nonfiction is real. Real things happened, real characters, real information we learn from nonfiction books. So we're going to give an example of a nonfiction and a fiction book, and we can talk about which one is which and what are the differences between the books, okay? So my first one here is Please, Please the Bees. Okay. And have you guys been learning about bees this week with Teacher Dana? Bee parts and bee houses, beehives. Great. And coincidentally, what are these? Have we also been learning about these two letters this week? Right? The E. Bees. Okay. Benedict was a creature of habit. He liked to do the same things every day. Every morning he woke up at the same time. Every morning he stretched, he scratched, he yawned a great yawn. Every morning the bees delivered 3 jars full of honey. Benedict ate the same breakfast he'd eaten since he was just a fuzzy cub. Toast with honey and tea with extra honey. Next came his daily routine. Practicing, perfecting his honey cake recipe, knitting, and running errands. At night, he'd read, then have one last cup of honey tea before bed. Life was sweet. Until one morning. One morning, things weren't the same. In fact, something terribly unsame had happened. There was no more honey. The bees had gone on strike. Remember when we learned about Martin Luther King Jr. and protesting and went on strike with our signs? Those bees are protesting. Benedict's breakfast wasn't the same without honey. Without his honey tea, he couldn't knit. Practice was dreadful. He didn't even bother with the errands. Benedict became deeply discouraged. Just then he heard someone say, "Hey, you, in the fur coat." It was a very small bee with a remarkably loud voice. "We need to talk," said the bee. "Talk? Humph," grumbled Benedict. I let you all live in my yard. All I asked for is a few jars of honey. You should be grateful, not go on strike." "A few jars," said the bee. "Buddy, we deliver 3 jars of honey to you every day, every month, every year. Do the math, Einstein." "The hive is a wreck," the bee continued. It's all we can do to keep the walls from falling in. The roof leaks, wind blows through the cracks. The last 3 queens up and quit on us because of the lousy working conditions. The bee showed Benedict the garden. Look, the bee said, weeds everywhere. We have to fly miles away just to find enough flowers to make our honey. So we voted to strike. You're taking us for granted, the bee said. You want honey? Things need to change. It's up to you, bear. And with that, the very small bee flew off. The thought of losing his honey sent a chill down Benedict's spine. He had a lot to think about. Maybe I've been too selfish, Benedict said to himself. I never thought about what the bees need. But how am I going to make this right? So he did some research. He did a little shopping. And he did a lot of work. Benedict even learned how to harvest honey. I suppose it's a bit rude to expect them to do it all themselves, he thought. Finally, he was ready to show the bees all the work he had done. What would they think? He held his breath as he waited. Then he heard the remarkably loud voice of the very small bee. Drop the signs! Girls, time to get back to work. These days, Benedict is still a creature of habit. He still has his daily routine, but he doesn't take the honey for granted anymore. But now, it's even sweeter. For everyone. And that was Please, Please the Bees by Gerald Kelly. I have one more here. I'm take a sip of water. How's everybody's cheese? Tasting good? What is everybody eating their cheese with? Raise your hand if you have something that you're eating your cheese with. Everybody's mouth is full. Hayden, it looks like you have a lot of food around your cheese. Are you eating some fruit with your cheese? Yeah? Maybe a cracker it looks like there. Delicious. Okay. One more here. This one is called It's a Good Thing There Are Bees. It's a good thing. A bee makes a buzzing sound as its wings beat quickly. The bee's buzz scares a lot of people. They are afraid of getting stung. But it is a good thing there are bees. Wow, a bee can flap its wings more than 11,000 times in 1 minute. Remember when we counted to 60 on Monday in our math lesson? A bee flapped its wings 11,000 times while we were counting. That's a lot. Bees are nature's busy helpers. They sip a sweet juice called nectar from flowers. They use the nectar to make honey. Honeybees have to visit about 2 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. That is a lot of flowers. Bees collect pollen from flowers for food. And they spread the pollen to other flowers. This helps the flowers make seeds and new plants grow. Bees also make wax. Many things we use every day are made with beeswax. They include candles, crayons, and even makeup. You see the parts of the bee that you learned with Teacher Dana's lesson this week, right? Does anybody remember how many legs a bee has? Jack, how many legs?
They have 6 legs.
6 legs. Do you know how many wings they have?
2, 4.
4, that's right. 2 antennas, 4 wings, 6 legs. Wow. There are more than 20,000 kinds of bees. No, honeybee, mason bees, big fuzzy bees. I don't know 20,000 kinds of bees though. And I've never seen a bee with blue wings either. It's kind of pretty. The bees in their beehive with their bee colony. And they can live alone sometimes, but a lot of them live in their bee colony. And the hive has thousands of bees in it. Let's see. It's a good picture of their honeycomb hive. Can anybody identify the shape of their honeycomb hive or their hive here? We talked about the shape yesterday. It has 6 sides to it. And it's called a hexagon. Right? So it's a hexagon shape in nature. See how the bees start as a larva? You see them here? That's what they look like before they look like that. Let's see. So we know that bees are good for making honey, making beeswax, and spreading pollen to the flowers from flower to flower. Some more fun pictures of bees. The beekeeper here. Look at that big mask he has to wear around his face, right? And see his whole body is covered so he doesn't get stung. Does anybody want to be a beekeeper when they grow up? Yeah, Eva? Hayden? I'd like to buy some honey from you, okay? Let me know. Okay. You want to hear some bee jokes? Why did the bee get a trophy? Because it won the spelling bee. Okay. So we read, it's a good thing there are bees, and please, please the bees. Which one was a nonfiction, true, and which one was a fiction, not true? Put your thumb up if you think Please, Please the Bees is the fiction book, the one that is not true. Put your thumb up if you think this is the nonfiction book, the book that is true. Okay. Put your thumb up if you think it's a good thing there are bees is a fiction. It's not a true book. You think that's the fiction? And put your thumb up if you think this is the nonfiction book, the book that is true, that has the real things in it. That's right. This is a nonfiction, right? This is just a story. It might have true things that bees make honey and bears like honey, but for the most part, the story is not true. It didn't really happen. Can anybody tell me something different they noticed between the two books? Raise your hand if you noticed anything different between the two books. Leah?
And that one, but the other one had the bear.
Okay, what was the first thing you said?
So that book doesn't have a bear.
Right, that is something that's different. This book has a bear. This book does not have a bear. Leah, is this a real bear that we're looking at?
No.
No, it's a cartoon bear, right? Somebody drew that bear. Jack, what else is a difference that you notice? You're gonna have to unmute yourself, okay?
Please, the bees book looks fake.
It looks fake, right? This one has pictures of real bees in it, right? It's not a bee that somebody drew. It has pictures of real flowers. It even had the picture of a beekeeper, right? It wasn't a cartoon beekeeper. And this one, like Jack said, it's not a real bear. It's a fake bear. Somebody drew the bear. It's a cute bear, but it's not a real bear. Just like this, right? This is all somebody's drawings. Where in our nonfiction book, these are pictures of real people. Somebody didn't draw that. Okay? Did anybody else notice any differences? And any other thing they wanted to say? Victoria? You're good, Victoria?
One of the books have like a real beehive, and like the other one has like a fake beehive.
That's right. We saw what a beehive really looks like. And then we saw one that somebody pretended to draw what they thought a beehive looks like, right? That was a definite difference. Alexa, do you have something to say?
When is it gonna be time for we to do something when it's Mother's Day and it's gonna be time for us to have a rest at school and enjoy Mother's Day?
Oh, I wish that we could all have our Mother's Day tea party together at school. But when we get back to school, we'll have to have a big celebration, right?
And you know that when this coronavirus thing all stops, we can have a nice Mother's Day at school instead of in our houses.
Do you like when we had the Mother's Day tea party before at school?
Yes, and I like the pizza, so delicious. I love pizza, and you know that me and my dad make pizza.
Good. Yeah, the Father's Day pizza party. We'll have to have a big makeup party with tea and pizza and ice cream, right? And a bouncy house when we get back to school, right?
And can we all have makeovers?
Sure, we gotta get a spa going also, right?
And can we get some
makeovers?
Awesome. Can we get some makeovers?
Yeah, why not? Okay. Well, I sure enjoyed starting my Friday off with all of you and getting to eat some cheese. And what a better way to start a beautiful day than with some cheese and some bees and practicing our letter sound E's. Right. Victoria, do you have something to say before we get going?
I have tattoos on me. It doesn't have I didn't go to a tattoo place, but I made my own tattoo.
Ooh, can I see them? Can we see them? Ooh, look at those colors. Did you draw on yourself, or did you have the tattoos that you hold down and they kind of come off on you?
No, I just made them.
You made them?
Can I show you how I made with?
Tony's been making tattoos.
Can I show you what I made them with?
Sure. And Tony went to bed last night with tattoos on her arm, and she must have slept with her head on her arm, and she woke up this morning and it was all over her forehead. Kind of silly. Now she has tattoos on her forehead. Okay. We're gonna wait for Victoria to show us what she made her tattoos with, but the lesson is over. If you feel like you need to get up and move around a little bit and enjoy this beautiful day outside, or you can stick around to say goodbye and see what Victoria's done her tattoos with.